Two women walk into a clinic. Same age, 52, same weight on the scale. One has the arteries and muscle mass of someone in her late 30s. The other is quietly sliding toward diabetes, and she has no idea yet. Same age, same weight, completely different futures. And here's the part that surprised me. The difference wasn't genetics. It wasn't willpower. It wasn't some expensive supplement one of them could afford and the other couldn't. It was what landed on their plates, in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And more importantly, when it landed there. I got tired of watching videos that all repeat the same 5 things. Eat your vegetables, drink water, cut sugar. So I stopped. And I went to the actual clinical trials, the real published research, the papers most people never read. What I found wasn't complicated. It was 5 specific findings that separate the people who age well from the people who don't. Not extreme, not expensive, backed by real trials with real people, not a headline someone invented for clicks. Plus one simple thing you can do at your very next meal, before you even finish watching this. Stick with me, because the 5th one is hiding in food you probably think is healthy. Let's talk about what those actually are. Finding number 1. After 30, protein isn't optional anymore. It's the single lever that decides how you age. And this one tip alone can slow the muscle loss that quietly starts stealing your strength in your 30s. Here's something almost nobody talks about. Starting around age 30, you lose 3 to 5% of your muscle mass per decade if you do nothing about it. Researchers call it sarcopenia. And it's not just about looking soft. Muscle is where your body parks blood sugar. Work at the University of Texas on muscle protein synthesis showed something called anabolic resistance. As you age, your body responds less efficiently to protein. You need more of it, per meal, to trigger the same muscle-building signal a younger body gets easily. Here's why that matters for your waistline. Think of muscle as a sponge for blood sugar. The more muscle you carry, the more glucose your body can soak up and burn instead of store. Lose that muscle, and you lose the sponge. That extra glucose gets shunted toward fat, especially the dangerous visceral fat packed around your organs. Visceral fat isn't just sitting there. It's metabolically active. It pumps out inflammatory signals that drive insulin resistance, which drives more fat storage, which shrinks your muscle further. A loop that feeds itself and speeds up every year you ignore it. There's a leucine threshold too. Leucine is an amino acid that flips the muscle-building switch on. Under a certain amount per meal, the switch barely moves. That's why grazing on tiny bits of protein all day doesn't cut it after 40. Your body needs a real dose at once to respond. You see this play out in real kitchens. The person who ages well isn't counting macros with a scale. They just naturally build meals around something substantial. Eggs at breakfast instead of just toast. Fish or beans at dinner instead of pasta alone. Protein anchors the plate instead of being an afterthought next to a mountain of refined carbs. Do this. Aim for a palm-sized portion of protein at every meal. Eggs, fish, chicken, lentils, Greek yogurt, tofu. Spread it across the day rather than cramming it all into dinner. Your muscles can only use so much at once. Get protein right, and you've protected the engine. But the engine needs the right fuel around it. Which brings me to the second finding. Finding number 2. Fiber is the most underrated anti-aging tool on the planet, and almost nobody eats enough of it. And this one tip alone can lower your risk of dying early from heart disease and several cancers. Here's something almost nobody talks about. Most adults eat about 15 grams of fiber a day. The research suggests the real target is closer to 30. A major analysis published in the Lancet, pooling decades of studies, found that people eating the most fiber had substantially lower rates of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and colorectal cancer compared to those eating the least. We're talking a meaningful drop in early death, not a rounding error. The mechanism is beautiful once you understand it. Soluble fiber feeds the trillions of bacteria living in your gut. Those bacteria ferment it and produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. Butyrate calms inflammation in the gut lining, strengthens the barrier that keeps toxins out of your bloodstream, and improves how your body handles insulin. Better insulin sensitivity means less of your food gets stored as visceral fat. Fiber also slows how fast sugar hits your bloodstream after a meal, flattening the spike that tells your body to store fat in the first place. And it keeps you full longer. There's a bonus most people miss. A healthy, well-fed gut microbiome influences everything from your mood to your immune system to how much inflammation your body runs at baseline. Fiber isn't feeding you, it's feeding the ecosystem that keeps you running. Think about the cultures where people stay sharp and lean into their 90s. Their plates are covered in beans, lentils, whole grains, and vegetables. Fiber isn't a supplement they choke down. It's built into every meal by default. Do this. Add one high-fiber food to a meal you already eat. Beans in your soup. Berries on your yogurt. Leave the skin on your potato. You don't need to overhaul anything. Just stack fiber onto what's already there. Now, fiber changes what happens inside a meal. But the next finding is about something most people never even consider. Not what you eat. When. Finding number 3. Your body handles the same meal completely differently, depending on the time of day you eat it. And this one tip alone can improve your blood sugar control without changing a single thing on your plate. Here's something almost nobody talks about. You are far more insulin sensitive in the morning than at night. The identical bowl of rice raises your blood sugar higher at 9 p.m. than it does at 9 a.m. This is circadian biology. Research from the Salk Institute on time-restricted eating showed that compressing your food into an earlier daytime window improves metabolic markers, even when people eat the same number of calories. Here's the mechanism. Your cells have internal clocks, tuned by sunlight and by when you eat. In the evening, your insulin response naturally winds down, preparing your body for sleep and repair, not digestion. Eat a heavy meal late, and that food sits in a body that isn't set up to process it. More of it gets stored. More ends up as visceral fat. Late-night eating also disrupts the overnight fasting period your body uses to clean house, repair cells, and burn stored fat. Every late snack shortens that window and cuts into the repair work. It can also fragment your sleep, and poor sleep raises your hunger hormones the next day, so you wake up hungrier and reach for worse food. Another loop that quietly works against you. Look at traditional Mediterranean rhythms. The largest meal often lands at midday, when the body is primed to use it. Dinner is lighter and earlier. It's not a diet rule, it's just how the day is structured. Do this. Try to finish eating 2 to 3 hours before bed, and make breakfast or lunch your biggest meal instead of dinner. Same food, better timing, better result. Timing sets the stage. But the next finding is about a specific kind of fat that actively fights the aging process inside your arteries. Finding number 4. The right fats don't just fail to harm you, they actively protect your heart and brain as you age. And this one tip alone can cut your risk of a heart attack or stroke in a way few single changes can match. Here's something almost nobody talks about. For years we were told all fat was the enemy. The research says the opposite. The type of fat matters enormously. The landmark PREDIMED trial, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, followed thousands of older adults at high cardiovascular risk. Those who added extra virgin olive oil and nuts to a Mediterranean diet had roughly a 30% lower rate of major cardiovascular events than the low-fat group. The mechanism runs through inflammation. As you age, you develop what scientists call inflammaging, a low, constant simmer of inflammation that damages your blood vessels and your brain. Monounsaturated fats and omega-3s in olive oil, nuts, and fatty fish cool that fire. They improve the lining of your blood vessels, keeping them flexible and smooth so blood flows freely instead of forcing your heart to push against stiff, inflamed pipes. They raise your protective HDL cholesterol and lower the inflammatory signals that visceral fat throws off. Extra virgin olive oil in particular carries polyphenols, plant compounds that act like tiny antioxidants mopping up the damage that ages you from the inside. These fats also help you actually absorb the protective compounds in your vegetables, Many of the nutrients in leafy greens and colorful veg are fat-soluble, meaning they need fat present to get into your body at all. Drizzle olive oil on a salad, and you absorb far more of its nutrients than you would eating it dry. You see it everywhere. Longevity clusters. A splash of olive oil on everything. A handful of walnuts or almonds as a snack. Sardines, salmon, mackerel a few times a week. Fat isn't feared. It's chosen carefully. Do this. Make extra virgin olive oil your main cooking and dressing fat, and eat a small handful of unsalted nuts most days. Add fatty fish twice a week if you can. Swap the fat, don't fear it. Good fats calm the fire. But there's one category of food that pours gasoline on it, and it's hiding in plain sight. That's the last finding. Finding number 5. Ultra-processed food isn't just empty calories. It reprograms how much you eat, without your permission. And this one tip alone can stop the slow, invisible weight gain that creeps up decade after decade. Here's something almost nobody talks about. It's not just what's in processed food, it's what it does to your appetite. A tightly controlled study at the National Institutes of Health, led by Kevin Hall, fed people either an ultra-processed diet or a whole food diet, matched for calories, sugar, fat, and fiber. When people ate the ultra-processed food, they consumed about 500 extra calories per day without noticing, and they gained weight. On the whole food diet, they ate less and lost weight. The mechanism is part chemistry, part engineering. Ultra-processed foods are stripped of fiber and water, so they're calorie-dense and easy to eat fast, before your fullness signals ever catch up. You've swallowed the calories of a full meal before your brain gets the message to stop. The refined carbs spike your insulin, driving fat storage, especially visceral fat, and they're literally designed to override your natural off switch. Food companies engineer the exact combination of salt, sugar, fat, and crunch that makes you want the next bite before you finish the first. That's not an accident. It's the product working as intended. Your willpower was never the problem, and you were up against a lab. Over a decade, 500 extra calories a day isn't a rounding error. It's the difference between the two women we started with. Same age, same starting weight, two completely different bodies, built one meal at a time. You can spot this in any grocery store. The people who age well tend to shop the perimeter. Real food that rots. Things without a 20-item ingredient list. It's not obsessive. It's just a default. Do this. Cut back on one ultra-processed item you eat regularly and swap it for a whole food version. Trade the flavored yogurt for plain yogurt and fruit. Trade chips for nuts, one swap at a time. So let's bring it all together. 1. Anchor every meal with a palm of protein to protect the muscle that keeps your blood sugar in check. 2. Stack fiber onto meals you already eat to feed your gut and flatten your sugar spikes. 3. Eat your biggest meal earlier and stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed so your body actually uses the food. 4. Make olive oil, nuts, and fatty fish your fats to cool the inflammation that ages your heart and brain. 5. Swap out one ultra-processed food for a whole food version and quietly stop overeating without trying. None of this requires a gym. None of it requires more money. None of it requires extreme effort or giving up everything you love. No shakes to buy, no plan to sign up for, no perfect willpower. Just small, deliberate choices at the meals you're already going to eat anyway. And notice the theme running through all 5. They're not really about restriction. They're about giving your body what it's built to use, at the time it's built to use it. That's the whole secret hiding under all the noise. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one. Just one. Try it for 3 days. Not 30. 3. Maybe it's the palm of protein at breakfast. Maybe it's finishing dinner a little earlier. Whatever feels easiest, start there. Then come back and comment what changed. How you slept. Your energy. Your cravings. I read every single comment, and the small wins people share genuinely make my day. And if someone in your life is heading into their 40s or 50s and needs to hear this, share it with them. This is the kind of thing that changes a decade, not just a week. Next time, I'm breaking down the one drink most people have every single morning that could be quietly aging you faster than sugar. And no, it is not coffee. Not really. You'll want to know if you're in the group it affects. See you in the next one.